Welcome everybody to AWFC Amplify, Sound and Story. I'm Ronit Kirchman.
And I'm Taura Stinson. Every woman joining us here today has awards-eligible work in this season's conversation. Woohoo! That's not an accident. It's a result of talent, tenacity, and building our own table.
This room exists because a group of women decided that if the table wasn't being set for them, they would build their own. The Alliance for Women Film Composers is that table. And today, we have two of the founders here today. Today we get to gather together and continue to build. We also want to acknowledge the generous support of our sponsors who have made this event possible. Every single one of them is a women-owned brand or business.
Including the very venue we're in today, owned by two women. And thank you to the Little Light venue, that's where we are, also Mama Juana's, and Parched Spirits. So, sorry about that, Tulsa. Parched Spirits, Woody's Wine, Baked Tasteful Creations by Jess, Pop and Bottles, Samantha Cakes and Bakes, and Veranda Cocktails. Please support the women who support us.
Yes. Okay, let's introduce our talent. We start with one of the founders of the very organization that made this room possible, the venerable Oscar-nominated, 5-time Emmy and Grammy-winning composer. Please welcome the wonderful and talented Laura Karpman.
And next up, we have Grammy-winning Juilliard-trained composer here for Big Mistakes. Please welcome Nora Kroll-Rosenbaum.
We also have here with us a songwriter with a #2 dance radio hit and over 10 million streams, here for Only Murders in the Building. Please welcome Sophie Rose.
We have Emmy-nominated Hollywood Music and Media Award-winning composer here for The Beast in Me. Please welcome Sara Barone.
BMI Award-winning NAACP Image Award-nominated composer here for Ironheart. Please welcome Dara Taylor.
And I'm going off the rip now, so I don't have any notes of this, but I do know we want to welcome Jess, JIMIJAME, who is the composer of Beauty in Black, #1 on Netflix, and just an all-around beauty. We love you so much. Thank you for being here.
We also have double BMI Award winner, composer of Tracker, Criminal Minds, and this year's submission, Primal, Joanne Higgenbottom. And we have with us Huron-Wendat Nation violinist, composer, and People's Choice Award winner here for Dark Winds. Please welcome Geneviève Gros-Louis. Okay. I think we've got everybody.
Everyone's here, thankfully, and thanks for, again, to the Little Light venue for shining your little light on us. Okay, first question is for songwriters, of course, coming. I want to ask, for songwriters, you were given a world, a character, and a story. How do you write a song that belongs inside someone else's vision while still making it completely your own?
Thank you so much for that question. I write a lot of pop music and I mainly work with artists. And I think writing a song for a fictional character to sing or just to fit into a world of film and television is very similar to helping an artist bring their vision to life. It's just trying your best to make their vision a reality by stepping into their shoes while also bringing, your own creativity and flair to it.
And you wrote for like a pop star on this episode. So how was it writing for a pop star for a record versus writing for a pop star who's acting in the series?
I think for the show, it was really fun because we knew a bit about the character and just the delusional, like, flamboyance of the character, which obviously, you know, I've written for pop stars who are not very self-aware and maybe a little delusional, but that's not a part of the music writing process.
Haven't we all?
So being able to, like, write a song from the perspective of being this, like, delusional, like, look at me type character was really fun.
Yeah, so Dark Winds is set in the 70s on a Navajo reservation, and I was so excited when the music supervisor reached out to me. I primarily compose scores, but he was looking for music that sounded like it came from the 70s, and was reaching out to Indigenous artists and musicians to write songs for the show to make it sound like it comes from that realm. And he was explaining me to the story that we were trying to capture through this song, and I really connected with this matriarchal energy in the show. These two strong women who are rooted in culture and within their career as well, and letting that kind of guide their journey in the show. And I'm originally from Wendake, Quebec, and we're a matriarchal community. And so I wrote this song and I channeled the creation story from my people, which is Sky Woman, which if you're not familiar, basically Sky Woman, she fell from Sky World, descended to this like Kevin Costner water world. This is my SparkNote version of it. And there's a turtle in the water, and she lands on this turtle, and these animals put this dirt on the back of the turtle, and she does a round dance on the shell of a turtle and creates what we call Turtle Island, which is what many Indigenous people call North America. And this story goes on, and it's a really beautiful story. It tells our history, and it's something that I really connected with, because in the show there's this journey of these women who are finding their way, and they're strangers in a strange land, and that's something that I kind of channeled with this. So when I was thinking of an artist I wanted to work with, Pere Faye is a legendary Indigenous singer. Ironically enough, I had been working with her at the exact time that the supervisor reached out to me. I was already working on another project with her in Vancouver, and she was 2 hotel doors down from me when Rick asked, like, he was giving me a list of musicians to like consider working with, and I was like, Pere Faye's literally 2 doors down from me right now. Let me just like ask her. And so we really connected on this song together, because she's also from a northeastern woodland nation. She's Tuscarora and I'm Wendat. So this story is something that we kind of shaped together through the words and really channeled a lot of that energy within it. So it was really personal, very deeply personal. We were excited to be able to bring that representation into the song.
Easy.
So now we're going to turn to our score composers. We'd love to know more about your project and your relationship to it. What drew you to this story in particular? What were some of the inspirations, challenges, and my favorite, surprises along the way? Whoever wants to start. Sara.
So I co-composed the score for The Beast in Me Netflix series.
Oh, mic working?
Start again.
Hello, testing. Okay. So I co-composed the score for a show called The Beast in Me on Netflix, and I was really fortunate to have been brought on early with my co-composer, Sean Callery, and so we were able to read the first 2 episodes of the script, and we really fell in love with it. From there, the story was really unique and just a really exciting thriller that has a lot of interesting tonal elements. There's a little bit of quirkiness, a little bit of comedy, a lot of darkness, and so we started writing theme ideas really early from the script. And then when we actually got picture and got to see the performances of the actors, Claire Danes and Matthew Rhys, I think that's where some of the surprise came in, kind of how they brought those characters to life, and they really, I think the acting is just incredible, and Reese in particular has he's the villain of the show, but he has a really interesting kind of quirky, comedic way about him as well, so it was really fun musically to try to find a sound for him, a character that's has an inner darkness, but is a little bit cheeky as well.
So how did you, that is fascinating, and I think you described his performance so well. It really keeps you on your toes. So when you were designing the music and the instrumentation for him in particular, how did you go about it?
Yeah, so I started working on a theme for him really early after reading the script, and I was thinking to myself, like, what does it sound like musically what is the internal sound of somebody who is crazy, is a spoiler, villain who commits crimes, but who is constantly trying to suppress that and trying to hold it in. And so I kind of created this initial theme idea, which is built from a synth that has a kind of growling feel to it. Not to get like too nerdy, but like with when you push the mod wheel up, it growls essentially.
It's a safe space for nerds here.
Okay. And so that kind of became his theme idea, that specific sound, as well as some of the other textures around it. And I think it really feels like, to me, the idea of like riding maybe a horse that has a mind of its own and trying to steer it on path and trying to keep it from going absolutely crazy. So that kind of was the inspiration for the sound for his character.
Amazing, thank you so much. Why don't we continue with Nora? Big mistakes.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for doing this panel. Thank you for doing this panel alliance and everyone putting this together. And I have to say, I'm not answering the question right off the bat. I just want to say, like, amazing that there's so many women that we can vote for. Oh my God. Wow. I mean, Laura and I were driving and it's just talking about this. It's just like, oh my God, for so long we would just go through the lists and just look, and now it's overwhelmingly beautiful. So congratulations to everyone, and I'm not answering the question right away, but it's very moving. Big Mistakes is a crazy show on Netflix. Super honored to write music with Peaches, and Peaches and I are really different musicians, and that ended up being such a gift to be able to collaborate with her. And Dan Levy really wanted the score to be driving and electronic and be like a heartbeat. And you're talking about a horse out of control. Like, we talk a lot about that feeling when your heart is pounding in your chest and it goes faster than you are. And so you get kind of that feeling of being in control and out of control. So we really played with that in the score. It's a crime comedy, so it very much reflects my daily life, crime comedy. So I felt really comfortable in all of that. And, sorry. No, it's just, but truthfully, like, the score was completely fun to make. And a lot of the art in the score is in the spotting. A lot of the work that was done was in really finely crafting how to make scenes as funny as possible, how to use spotting in really interesting ways. Dan really wanted the music to be present, so it's really loud, and that's really interesting. We worked a lot with playing how can you take a cue and have it be really psychological and have it turn in the middle and then start playing physical comedy and then just suddenly get out. And so it's an interesting thing in terms of, like, let's be nerds together and, like, turn up the mod wheel. Like, this is a score that's as much about like what the music is and how the music makes you feel as much as it is about how it kind of functions in the kind of needle point of crafting the score. So
that's very virtuosic, actually. That's the hidden virtuosity.
I think so. But not to be like,
that is hard to thread the needle.
Very, very proud of it, actually, because it was really a crossroad puzzle of, like, how do you make this funny? How do you make this feel totally like nobody's working hard to make this? It's just seamlessly, comfortably coming off the page. And at the same time, they're like, thematically, the characters have really strong themes. One is very much about, like, being in her body. Morgan, one of the characters, Dan Levy's sister, is really finding her identity, and she really is feeling good about being in this new life in crime. Whereas Nikki, who's a pastor, is feeling more and more uncomfortable. So it was really about, doing that crossword puzzle of two characters who are going to kind of grow into themselves, and at the same time, how do you land comedy? And I know you all know a lot about that, but it was definitely a fun challenge. So
Amazing. Thank you so much for the insight.
Let's pass it to Dara. You're right here.
Yeah, so for Ironheart, it is a spin-off series off of Wakanda Forever, so a lot of it was kind of giving her her own sonic print. And, she's young, she's a woman, she's a Black woman, but what I wanted to speak the most to was her strength and her anxiety, because that's what she's dealing with. She's dealing with being put in a box, and she wants to get out of that box. So musically, I would try to add, a bunch of different things. She's also this girl genius. So there's a lot of like ticking synths that mimic what the orchestra is doing, which was a pain in the ass for my mixer to grid. I'm sorry, Josh. But there are also, in addition to her just like trying to find her own way, and still having her big heroic hero, French horn moments. What she's also dealing with a lot is grief. At the beginning of the show, we learned that she's dealing with the grief of her father and of her best friend. And one thing that really brought me to her was the fact that I had also lost my father shortly before I had gotten that gig. So I tried to find ways to bring him with me. So there's a scene where she's like looking at kind of a hologram of her and her father. And I took the last voicemail that I got from my dad and I ran it through Paul's Stretch, and I made it this like pad. So it's like this like really like thing that happens all the way through, and I'm like, I let him choose what key the cue was going to be in because I wasn't going to choose it. So just like little things like that, a little Easter egg for me that has nothing to do with the with the grand MCU, but it was I try and find some sort of personal connection to the characters. So working with it, I felt like scoring Riri at that time in life was really special and important to me.
Jenny James, are you ready?
Guys, I first want to say thank you. It's amazing to sit amongst beautiful women, talented, that are making efforts for conversation and support and community. So, I am kind of a multi-hyphenate. I come from the music production space, songwriting, and creative direction, and the live touring space as well. My husband's a music director, and we were blessed to come into an opportunity about 3 years ago to score Parish on AMC with Giancarlo Esposito, and it was our first scoring job, and we kind of were like, okay, let's just do what we do. We produce music, we create sounds, we connect, and that's what we did. We were just very honest. We like to always approach anything music and anything based in creativity with a connection, a source. So the first thing I did was I asked Sunu Gonera, who's the creative, the director and co-creator, can I see, if you mind, can I see your deck, your creative deck? I would just love to connect with the colors and the tones and just kind of tap into your world. And he did, and he shared with me, and I immediately heard the sound. I was like, oh, this is dark, this is moody, it's a little eerie, but it's inviting. I come from a theater background, so I'm always like finding out what is the environment, what does it smell like, what does it look like, what does it, feel like. I try to become it, because in the spirit you can start to channel direction without overthinking too much. So every time I've, been able to approach, I kind of become it. Same thing with Beauty in Black. We were working with Joel C. High, who we love. Shout out to Creative Control, Joel and Leah. And we had worked on Parish together, so he brought us into the Tyler Perry family, and Tyler didn't know that we were gonna score his film. And so we didn't know, he didn't know. And we're like waiting for notes, and we end up getting a call like, Tyler's blowing me up like, who did the music? And he's like, a new duo that I knew you would love. He's like, fantastic, I have no notes. we didn't even know what that meant until people were like, no notes? But I asked, people ask like, what was your approach to the music? And I said, well, first, I appreciated that Joel allowed us to go and to create and imagine and experiment, because a couple of the ladies we were talking earlier about just having the freedom to create without thinking about the politics and stuff like that. So that was one of the things that I feel we were fortunate, to have his freedom to create. And with Tyler, he trusted us, and we said, okay, this is kind of like a soap opera platform. We need to kind of create something that's quirky and fun, but still kind of edgy, raw, and like culture forward. The Beauty in Black, if you've seen it, it's raunchy, crazy. It's like, I say the show that you hate to love. You're like looking at it. My accountant, she says, yeah, Jimmy, my husband was coming. I had to put my thing away. I didn't want. So it's like, it's one of those that's really, it pulls you in, and it's relatable. So we also said, okay, this score it needs to be relatable. We need to just talk like, the people talk. Want to make the people feel good and like talk shit. Talk junk. You know what I mean? And watch and laugh at this plot. So we didn't want it to be too serious, but at the same time, there were some motifs that we, created specifically for the characters so that they would be interwoven into the score, and you would think about them when we were suggesting, one of their narratives or whatever. I don't want to talk too much, but
everything you're saying is so resonant, and I love how you describe speaking the world so directly.
Yeah.
It makes the score come to life in a really special way.
Yes.
I think we'd love to hear from Laura. We have Joanne coming too?
Yeah, your turn.
Okay.
You
All
go.
right.
Joanne
Hi,
and Nora.
Thank you, Laura, I appreciate it. The show I have for consideration is Primal. I co-composed the show with Tyler Bates. We're actually on the 3rd season right now. Very fortunate for that. And it's already won 1 Emmy for Best Animation 2 years ago. What's super unique about this show in particular is there is no dialogue at all in the entire show. The 2 characters are a caveman and a dinosaur. So they are communicating through every episode, really visually, by looks, and therefore the music is telling you a lot of the time what to feel, but in a very adult way. That was what was, so Gendy Tartakovsky is the creator and director. If you guys don't know him, he did Samurai Jack, which I also did with him. Dexter's Laboratory, when I was a kid, I used to watch. He's an absolute genius, and it's such an honor to work with him. The show, it's not the Tom and Jerry scoring that we all know and have done. It's definitely more for adults, and it's longer waves of scoring, and literally primal, which is the name of the show. It's very primal in the score too. We don't do a lot of TikTok, like very fast-paced things. It's all big and bulky and slow, as a caveman or as a dinosaur would literally tread down the road. The one thing Tyler and I have as a rule of thumb for every piece of score that we write for the show is there has to be a live organic element in every single piece. It's so easy to be in the box now, and I just feel like there needs to be some kind of living, breathing thing in every piece of score to really make you connect with it and emotionally connect with that piece of music. So even if we find an amazing heaviosity rhythm that sounds fantastic, I'll at least double that with my toms and my drums or something, so that there's that live organic quality. And we do that. Tyler plays a lot of guitar on the show, I do a lot of percussion on the show, and we get instrumentalists in too.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. One more show and one more composer. One of my favorite shows this season, Down Cemetery Road, and the music is phenomenal in storytelling. So I'd love to hear more about how you approached it.
And I'd love to tell you more about it, but I'm not going to. And it's because I have 5 Emmys, and I've got multiple nominations. So I would rather cede my votes, whatever they would be, to all of you. And please watch the show because I care about your view. I'd love for more people to see it. Emma Thompson is a superhero. She's in her 60s. Obviously, I relate to her. But at this point, I'd rather talk about how we can move from this phase to the nomination phase. and to the winning phase. And there's such fine work on this stage and so many people who've not yet been recognized that listen to all of them.
Yes. Thank you so much, Nora. It's really an inspiration.
Yes, thank you, Laura. Okay, well maybe you can start this because you know how I love to play games. Like I make up games everywhere I go. So this is 30-second bars. Okay. Think of this as your 30-second bars, one verse, no chorus, for every aspiring composer and songwriter in this room or elsewhere. What's the one thing you wish someone had told you before you start? 30 seconds to bars.
Oh my God. I mean, everything. First of all, don't try to fit into somebody else's shoes. Be yourself. Figure out what it is you do. And don't let an agent or anybody else tell you that that's not okay. Yeah. You do not have to sound like somebody else. You don't have to sound like Hans Zimmer. You're not somebody's poor reproduction of another sound. You are you. And that's not saying that you can't play with that stuff. I mean, it's fun. Listen, we've scored Marvel. You know, shit, it's fun to play with that stuff. And it's great to record an orchestra and it's great to play in those sandboxes. And it's like an achievement. You know, I did that. I could do it. A woman could do that. But carve your own path and don't let them tell you that that's not okay or it's not enough. That's all.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. What I'm gonna say is similar but a little bit different. And it's to trust yourself and don't be afraid to experiment. I've found throughout my career, I've been told, do you do lyrics or melody? And I'm like, why can't I do both of those things? Why do I have to pick a lane? And even genres. I have always been a pop writer at heart, but I love singer-songwriter, I love dance music, I love writing for film and television, and I've learned that it's okay to dabble in a lot of things and not try to force myself into a box. And I feel like there are so many people that try to put you in a box, and it feels overwhelming to pick a lane. But it's okay to do a little of everything and follow your interests and just keep things fun and exciting.
We're gonna keep going on down the line. I think that's just working.
Man, those were both so great, and I agree with both. Trying to think, I guess something I think is important is not being afraid to, be really open-minded creatively, and sometimes abandon your first idea that you thought may have been perfect, and have the, ability to say, I know I worked really hard on this, and this is cool, but it's probably, you can't shoehorn it into a box if it's not working, and completely. Then I think having the ability to just really start fresh with a new idea is helpful. Anyway, that's just something I've thought of recently.
I wholeheartedly agree with everything everyone is saying. I think for me personally, finding my way and finding my voice, not trying to fit within that box. I came from the classical realm, and the moment that I opened up to where I came from also, and integrating some of the sounds that I grew up with from my communities, I unlocked something within myself, within my soul also, and composing became very much a thing of healing also, and using music to tell these stories and to be able to make people feel things, I think is such a gift that we all have, and it's so beautiful to be able to take something and without yes, with words, but also without words, the power that music carries within that. So I think just being true to who you are and channeling that energy, yeah.
I disagree with all of them. No, I'm kidding. I would tell myself that it's okay to ask questions. I've been in so many rooms where you want to come across as so intelligent, and we are not hired to be an encyclopedia of music. And when someone is making a reference, I spent 10 years going, yes, that's a fantastic idea, and then Googling it when I left, And I don't think you're stupid by saying, oh, I'm sorry, actually, I'm not sure who they are. Let's check them out. Or what is it about them that you like? And I think earlier on in your career, you don't have the confidence to do something like that in a room, and you're not done by asking questions. I think I would tell myself that it's okay.
I was trying to think, as an independent artist, it's kind of been the opposite for me. Like I started out, before indie music was really, really blazing, I started out, trying to find my art and, how it would fit in the industry. Like how do I write so that, I could come, on a radio station, come after one of the top, pop artists or something. And my music was so different because I tried to fit into a mold, but I couldn't even sing things right until I started trying to find my voice. Like what was I trying to say? Because you speak uniquely and you sing uniquely, you know what I mean? So for me, I kind of had to go through being so unique and trying to adjust my storytelling to fit more of a general world, comprehensive, if that makes sense, you know what I mean? And now I'm a perfect blend. Like now that indie kind of became like a forward movement, I'm listening to my original music that I started. I'm like, oh shit, this is popping now. Like I was kind of like ahead of my time. But it's a little bit of both. I think that, you have to jump out there and be daring, but if you really want to make a living from what you're doing, you have to pay attention to what the audience wants to hear. You have to tell stories that relate. It does affect, your decision making with what you're wording. Sometimes something's a little too personal to your story, and maybe it's not going to fit for licensing or sync or just for someone to just connect. You have to find a way to really connect with simplicity. Like, you have to say the right things that relate to everyone, very general, but it's the way you say it, the way you tell the story. So I find as a songwriter, I'm more so trying to connect in a very, very unique way so I can find signature in the way that I write and still keep the message very simple and relatable.
Amazing, thank you.
I've had all this time to think. I think I'm going to say something kind of similar to what other people have said, but in a different light. It's also about staying true to yourself, but I'm going to take the artistry out of it and just be about personality. And I think that it's okay to be whoever you are and to not try and be, not try to be something that you've seen on TV or something that you've seen on a panel. Like, you're not going to be the same person as Hans Zimmer. You're not going to be the same person as Laura Karpman. And all of that is okay. You just be yourself because people can see through you trying so hard very easily. I think it's just good to just be who you are, and I think your collaborators will appreciate that. And in every room of collaborators, you're gonna find the ones that you really gel with, and stick with them, and hang out with them, and like try and nurture those relationships. Always be civil to everyone around, because you never know. But and also because that's the right thing to do. But I think you'll find the people that kind of your spirits sing to each other, and keeping those relationships going is good both professionally and just like a balm for your soul.
Yeah. Wait, can I say something else since I gave up my other time? Just pivoting off something that Dara said. By the way, you all can just be exactly like me. No, that isn't the thing. But here's the thing, after, I don't even know how many years in this business, yesterday's no is today's yes. So just what you were saying. So you think, oh, I didn't get that gig, and that's it, that's not gonna happen. No, that is not it. You stay in touch with those people, you keep going, and then you never ever know. 2 or 3 years later, you might just be in there, and then you've done that groundwork, and it'll pop. Yeah.
Yes, amen to everything you all said. I would add 3 things. One is be yourself. Be yourself, please be yourself. No one needs more of anyone else. Be yourself. 2 is slightly snarky, and I think it's because I'm having a hot flash, so I'm sorry. But I think that I spent a lot of years feeling like shit about myself, like other people are getting opportunities and that's because they're better. And I think that that's not true. And I think that there's a lot of reasons and not so good ways in which our industry works that put certain people ahead. Certain people get commissions, and you'll look at them and say, what? This doesn't make any sense. And God, I just need to work harder and this and that. And so I think I would say to my younger self, nope, you're good. That's not what is actually going on. And this will all be revealed to you later on in life. And then number 3, I would say eat more carbs. Really.
Life's too short.
Yeah, there's some in the back. Big cookies.
So I think we're going to dive in a little bit to the emotional IQ of the craft. I also just wanted to kind of boost these themes that seem to recur of authenticity and creative freedom and artistry. And it's really moving to hear in numbers. So I really appreciate you all for that. So, collaboration, as Jimmy James was saying, is a huge part of film scoring and storytelling. And finding the sound of a story is such a subjective experience, but it's also a shared journey. So, can you tell us more about how you collaborated with your showrunners to discover the authentic musical language of your show? Is there anybody who feels inspired to start?
I want to be conscious of your time, so you want to go first?
Yeah, so very early on, I spoke with, the producers and the showrunners and various producers at Proximity also. And one thing that was brought up pretty early on was since the show was set in Chicago, we wanted to find ways to sort of incorporate that. And what is the nice way to incorporate Chicago outside of what the Needle Drops were doing? And someone brought up bucket roads. So whenever possible, especially in like fun action moments, and there's it's a Marvel show. There's cheeky moments, and like there's nothing cheekier than 5/8 bucket drums. And, so it was just fun to use that other texture. And in terms of like the spirit of collaboration, what I always try and do in a situation, I'm not always just like chasing the approval. I want someone to be happy, and I want them to be like, yeah, sure. Like if I sense some hesitation, I will go back and I will do an alt. I'll just do the fix you told me. I was like, I feel like I convinced you. Let me try another thing that's a little different and see if that's that's closer to what you're imagining, but maybe you can't articulate. I think it's just being open and always noticing that you're on the same team. So like, taking their inspirations and their ideas and making it your own, I think is a nice way to do that.
I think also too, just on a life note, collaborating in the creative space is like, for me, it's like getting to live another life, more life. We get an opportunity to, express something with someone. So I really love what you were saying, just finding yourself in it and having other things in life happen because you made that connection. You know what I mean? So that's collaboration for me.
I was very fortunate to collaborate with David Archuleta and Michael Blum on the song Wish That You Were Me from this past season of Only Murders in the Building. And David is close with John Hoffman, who's the co-creator and showrunner of Only Murders. So John had reached out to David saying they were creating this character that was going to be this kind of arch nemesis of Selena Gomez's character in the upcoming season. And they wanted her to have a song that would play like throughout the season and just constantly annoy Selena Gomez's character and kind of just like push her buttons. So we went into the studio with some information of like, what the character was vaguely going to be. They had just started writing that season, so it was still kind of creatively up in the air. And they had said, depending on what the song was going to be, the writers on the show would try to incorporate the song and themes of the song into the writing of the season, which was so cool to be a part of. So we kind of took inspiration from, the references he sent and like I said earlier, the character is very cheeky and in your face and a little bit not self-aware. So the song ended up kind of being an amalgamation of all of those things. And we did write two different options, like 2 different songs that we sent to him on that first studio day. And they ended up picking one of them that we went in and then finished. But yeah, having that collaboration with the showrunner and, you know, being able to send notes back and forth was really lovely.
I feel very honored to have had the opportunity to collaborate with Purife and Rick Clark on the creation of this song. Purife was originally in this group called Eulalie, which is a group of 3 Northeast Woodland women who in the 90s created this group, and they kind of created a contemporary form of Indigenous music, and I grew up listening to it. It's like Indigenous Enya vibes, honestly, and I just remember I have these very specific memories of my childhood listening to their music. So getting an opportunity to work with one of the artists that I grew up listening to was an incredibly emotional experience. I definitely cried when I first met her, not gonna lie, hearing her voice like that, and you know, being able to work with her and Rick Clark on this song was so beautiful. We, like I mentioned before, we recorded actually 90% of the vocal and slide guitar takes of the song I recorded in my hotel room in Vancouver when we were working on another project. We had 1 day off. We were there for a whole month. We had 1 day off, which is insane. And she was down. She was so down to create this song together, and it came together so quickly. And we ended up having to go to Nashville to finish recording a couple other things. I recorded all the strings in my own studio out here, but we had to go to Nashville a few months later and worked with Rick in a studio out there. And something I'll never forget that was really emotional about what happened is, so Pure de Fé is from a remote village reservation in Saskatchewan, and the night before we went into the studio, she was told that there was a fire approaching her village and that the entire village had to evacuate because the whole town was in danger of being burnt to the ground. And so she went to bed that night not knowing if she was going to have a house the next morning. I know something that we all resonate with out here, especially with all the fires that we had experienced this last year. And right before we went into the studio together, Pure de Fé got a call, and she had said that some of the leaders from her community held a ceremony at the river asking the winds to carry the fire away. And just before we started recording, we found out that the winds had changed the direction of the fire, and her home and her entire village was saved. So when she went in the studio and she sang this track, it came from a very, very special place that was really moving, and she was channeling a lot of that in the performance, and you can really hear the soulfulness of it. And I was very honored to just be a witness of that.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I collaborated with Peaches, which was amazing, and you know, I think that we had this really strong commitment at the beginning to tell each other what we actually thought, for real. No BS. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you think it could be better? And that truth was the driving principle. And it made our collaboration really sweet and really easy and fun. And our showrunner, Dan Levy, was like really positive and open. And so it was a really healthy, beautiful collaboration because there wasn't a dance going on. It was like, what do you think? I love this. Try this. Do you think there should be music here? Absolutely not. Yes, I think there should be music here. And we fought like, you know, a family fights and works it out and figures it out, and we figured it out together. And so,
Yes, you did.
Yes, we did. That was our collaboration.
I think we have Joanne, and then
I'll make it quick if you want. In the spirit of collaboration, forgive me if anyone's heard these stories before, Gendy Tashkovsky, the creator and showrunner of Primal, when we spot the show with him, he brings the locked cut, which is lovely. We only have to write to lock cut. And then we hit play, we record on our cell phones, and there's obviously, as you know, no dialogue, no sound effects, nothing in it at all. And as soon as it starts, he begins singing. And that is us spotting the show. He will sing rhythmically what the music is, what the dialogue is, and there's nothing playing, so forgive me, but it will be dinosaurs saw roar, and he runs. Hence us recording it. And it's one time through, we do not go back. So if we don't have that recording, we're absolutely screwed. I cannot write things fast enough in my book. He should probably be on the cue sheet now that I think about it. But we can...
Don't say that.
No, fine. But we reference back that recording through the entire time of composing, and we know when there's no music, when the cue's going to start, how it's going to start. And what's so interesting about that specifically is I feel like we spend so long intellectually talking about, especially with directors and showrunners who can't talk in a musical language, like, okay, there's going to be a big noise here and there, like, we say all these words when actually if you just go, I'm like, okay, great, got it. Let's go. You want big brass swell followed by some percussion. Gotcha. Awesome. And in 3 seconds we know exactly what we're doing versus 15 minutes of him trying to over-explain exactly what that is. So that's really cool and unique about this particular show.
That's so cool. Beatboxing was not on my bingo card this morning. That's amazing. Me neither. Okay, switching gears a little bit. When women are barely offered...
Sara.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you... Look at me. I didn't... Okay, there you go. I'm so sorry.
No, all good. I appreciate it.
Not switching gears.
I'll be quick. I'll just say the collaboration with my co-composer and the showrunner from the beginning of the process was really, really great. And our showrunner, Howard Gordon, is really refreshingly knows, like, very confident with feedback. And so we had a really, like, open communication from the beginning. But Sean and I kind of put our heads together at the beginning, and we both felt like this score, we both kind of independently had this idea that the score needed to be really intimate, and so we kind of gave ourselves this challenge of writing suites that only had like 5 or 6 instruments featured at any time. And because we really wanted it to feel intimate, and it was very character driven, and so we sort of came up with a couple of theme ideas for each character, and Claire Danes' character has, I don't know if anyone's seen the show, but she has a very anxious, intense way about her, and so we were thinking about words like brittle and stuck, like she's stuck in this mental place because she lost her son and can't move on from that. And so we kind of, from there, came up with sounds that we felt like matched that, a lot of like really dry solo string, percussive effects and prepared piano sounds. That kind of became the framework for her character. And then I mentioned already before what we did for Niall's character. And so yeah, those were kind of the theme ideas we presented to the showrunner from the beginning, and he was really on board with it, to the point where they started editing it into the show before we started, and we actually kind of found ourselves at times having to tell them, like, let's not use it again here. Let's do something different. I think we can do a little better, or, So it was, honestly, just a pleasure to work with them all. So thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you. And now switching gears for real. But I do want to say collaboration is like one of my favorite things. It's just like a love language. It's a dance, and it's my favorite dance. And sitting beside one of my favorite dance partners. Yeah, but switching gears, and I want to start with you, Dara, because Dara has like big rehearsal, and but when women are barely offered one seat at the table, how does it feel to be seated alongside a table with all women? And this is also just because it's partly directed to Laura, who's co-founder of this organization, but also to you, who's been alongside me in so many different committees, like. We are committee queens. So how does it feel for the fight to see some light break through the darkness?
Yeah, it's funny. I was going to say, I'm like, I know I have to jet probably after this question. So whatever the question is, at the end, I'm going to say how wonderful it is to be here. So thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's just really, like, inspiring is obviously one of the words, but it's also just cathartic. It's relaxing. You get to like take, God damn it. You have to, you get to like kind of take your guard down a little bit. And I think like, sometimes you'll feel that when you walk into a room and there's just like one other woman there and you're like, all right, the edge is off, because like sometimes you do have to put on a little bit of armor. And I'm like, be yourself, but wear your armor. but yeah, it's just kind of a natural thing that you learn to do from a young age. So to be able to kind of like strip that off, it just makes you kind of puddle in your seat a little. So I feel very fortunate to be here among all these really fantastic women, some who I've not met before too, which is always exciting. It's just seeing the numbers grow. I remember it was at the SEL Emmy reception last year, and there was a photo. They're like, okay, let's grab all the women composers and put them up there. I'm like, guys, we don't need the rest of us as buffers. There are enough women nominees that they could take this photo by themselves. Just let them take the photo. I mean, we took both, but it was like having that realization that, like, you know, again, miles to go before we sleep. But this is not a thing that existed when I first moved here, and I'm very glad it does now. So thank you to everyone.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Dara.
Thank you.
Good luck tonight. And Laura, we'd like for you to talk about that. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be sitting here today. You are just someone who pushed me into advocacy after my mother, who made me wake up every Thanksgiving morning and serve. But you reached back and pulled me forward into the fire, and I have not been the same since.
Oh, that's very kind. I mean, look, Lolita's sitting right here. Lolita Hermanos is one of my co-founders of the Alliance. And I was actually talking to a couple of you about this beforehand. And this is, you know, in the world of saying the things that we often don't say. I've been doing this a long time. And when I went to those BMI dinners, it was hell. Okay? No, not funny hell, like actual hell. I mean, you would walk in and immediately you would be escorted away from the red carpet. So you were not allowed to, you know, to actually go and be recognized, honored. You felt like crap right from the first moment. And we didn't know each other well. I would see Lolita from across the room. And as any of you have done any sort of work in anthropology or any, not that I have, but you get into a scarcity mentality. And that is something the patriarchy, sorry to get radical, but I gave up all my other time. That's something that the patriarchy encourages among women. They encourage us to be not competitive like they are, but actually like want to kill each other, you know? And I remember I would look at you and it was like, what's she doing? Like, what's going on? And I remember the moment that after, you know, I thought, we just gotta make this organ, we gotta do something. I picked up the phone and called you because you were, she was very close with Shirley Walker, and Shirley was really her mentor and got Lolita started. And I said, well, let's do something. Let's start a scholarship at USC and dedicate it to Shirley, or we gotta figure out something to do. And the minute we started talking to each other, we loved each other. And we became very, very, very close, as I have become with you know, Taura. We worked together with Raphael Sadiq on Black Nativity, a really hard project. And it's like we were immediately sisters. I remember there's one great story about Taura. We were on the scoring stage at Warner Brothers, and there was a guy there who's very much a part of the film scoring business, like, and he said, and I have a doctor from Juilliard, okay? I know the difference between an A flat and an A natural. He said, oh, that should be an A natural. And I said, no, it's an A flat. It's bluesy. No, it should be an A natural. And Taura got up, and she got right in front of him. She said, it's an A flat, you know. And it's and that was that. It was an A flat, you know. So it's like, you know. And so she immediately stood up for me in a situation like that. So what's happened? And what's so incredible, so the very long answer to your question, is at the very least, we have created a community. You were saying that you were in a mom's group with Amy Dougherty, and who was a student of mine, and other.
These guys over there.
Those guys, okay, great. Like, that's really important. And we've also, those of us who are moms, have shared, parenting stuff. And like, oh my God, my biggest accomplishment, our biggest accomplishment with my wife, because she also like raises this child, but is we got through honors chemistry in 10th grade, and honors math, by the way. But thank you, A's and both. But this community is so essential, and what it does is it gives you a basis and a grounding, and I encourage all of you to utilize it, to trust each other. That doesn't mean that we're not competitive, because we all are. We need to be competitive, and that is the business that we're in, a competitive business. That does not mean that we can't share. The more that we share information, the better all of us do, and that is why we have so many people sitting up here, because a lot of us, me and other people, Melita, Star, Miriam, and you, it goes Allie and Heather, it goes on and on. We have created a community of people who are willing to share the information they have generously to benefit all of us. And we need to continue to do that, and obviously go out there and kick a lot more ass.
Okay, well, on that note, we're going to introduce something that we would like to end every AWFC Amplified discussion with. It's a unifying moment of collective expression, and hopefully Tara and I can participate in this one. Yeah? Okay. We call it I Amplify.
Yes, I Amplify is this notion that we can't leave a room without speaking another woman's name. A living woman, a working woman, hopefully even, who is a composer, a songwriter, a music supervisor, an executive. Just speak her name. Make sure that she knows that you are representing and standing up for her, giving her her flowers. Someone who may have helped you years ago, not your mother. We all love our moms, but someone in this business. We all need to amplify each other, and it starts here. You want to start with?
No, go for it.
There's only a few people that there's like I feel like Tyler, the guy who calls forward the dead, and you have all these people in your mind. Yeah, that guy. But and this is very corny because no, I'm not gonna say you. I'm gonna say Vanessa Morrison. Vanessa is an executive at Disney. She worked with us early on. I think she may have worked on Black Nativity. She was a part of that group, but she was also a part of a movie that I did, and she just took me by my hand, showed me the ropes about animation, something that I hadn't done, and I wrote this lovely song called Beautiful Creatures that's like one of my favorites to this day. And she is the president of, I want to say, of Disney. If anybody knows what she does, just please shout her out, because what she does is so insignificant to who she is that I can't even put it together right now, because she's the person who will call me a few times a year and just say, let's just have lunch. What are you doing? How are you doing? What are you working on? Let's sit down with this person. Have you met this writer? And so just always reaching back, pulling forward, not just me, but so many others. So I amplify Vanessa Morrison.
President of streaming. Thank you.
She's the president of streaming.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. There's so many people.
Right, they come forward.
Yeah, you really created like a wave in my brain. And it has to be a living person.
No, it doesn't have to be. Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
No, it's good. That's our parameters. I like that. Okay, I'm going to amplify an old teacher of mine, Karen Tarlow.
Good.
Karen Tarlow is a composer that you may never have heard of. She is a woman composer. I didn't know women could be composers. had no idea about that. I grew up in a really feminist household, and it wasn't until I met someone who identified as a composer, and I thought, oh my goodness, I could be this. And I was 13 years old, and she changed my life. So Karen Tarlow, composer.
I amplify Sherry Chung.
Oh, good.
Yes, I met Sherry through Blake Neely, and just from the moment I saw her, she was just light, captivating, sharing, us having questions about the industry and how to move as composers. I could just always count on her to share like her best knowledge and give it to me straight. And she's fashionable. We both love fashion. And she's down to earth. Super cool. Like all of you ladies.
I amplify Susanna Fogel, the only female director I've ever worked with, sadly to say. We did The Spy Who Dumped Me together. It's my first ever business class flight. It's the first time I was in Abbey Road. And she even allowed all of my family to come into Studio One at Abbey Road and see everything that we were recording, because I don't get to go home very much, which you can't tell from my accent. She's incredibly talented, so kind, and I just love to work with her again.
I know we said living, but I do want to amplify a dear friend of mine that just passed away a couple of weeks ago. Chris Dirksen changed the game for Indigenous composers and was someone who I deeply admired. And they were the first person I ever saw combine and fuse powwow music with orchestras, like the Toronto Symphony, really massive, beautiful collaborations with dancers on stage, and being able to integrate Indigenous music with classical music. They were a really gifted cellist and really inspired my journey, and I just really want to amplify everything that they've done for our community.
Man, it's really hard to choose. I guess I'll say I'd like to amplify the women executives at Universal who have been so kind and generous to me and my whole cohort over these past couple of years as a part of the Universal Composers Initiative. Shout out Shirley over there, who was in my cohort. And they just, Angela Leus, Rachel Levy, Natalie Hayden. Oh man, there's a lot now. I don't want to miss anyone, but the whole group, they just were so kind, and to this day, they still are, even after the program has ended, and they really just went above and beyond to sort of make us feel comfortable in the studio world and offer advice from career advice to also personal advice. And yeah, I'm just really grateful to all of them.
There's also so many amazing women that I've met through my career that come to mind, but I'd like to amplify Esther Dean, who is an incredible songwriter, just iconic pop voice. And I met her when I was 13 at a panel like this, and she took a chance on me and signed me to my publishing deal. That opened so many doors for me, and she taught me so much of what I know about songwriting and gave me so much confidence as a young girl coming into this industry. So, yeah.
I'm going to take two. One who helped me and Dara and so many other women is Victoria Alonso, who was the president of production at Marvel. Victoria single-handedly, sort of, opened that world up for a lot of people in every imaginable craft. So she's somebody. And I wanted to amplify somebody that I've mentored, who's a phenomenal musician, Elena Penderhughes. Elena is a beautiful artist, flute player, played American Fiction for me, and she is headlining her first show at the Hollywood Bowl this Saturday. Stepping out from behind the band, she's played with everybody from Herbie Hancock to Chief to Terrace Martin. Go see her at the Bowl this weekend.
Yes, I also amplify her.
Yeah.
She's from Oakland.
She's amazing, and she's from Oakland. Yeah. So go see Elena this weekend.
I have two amplifications. One is no longer living, but I really do want to throw in Shirley Walker. When I was just starting out, fresh out of grad school, and showing up to every SCL panel, you know, when in the days when you could still go up to people after they spoke, I did connect with her, and you know, really the room was, she was the only other woman in the room, and I really did feel seen. She was so gracious, and she said, you know, this was in the day of CDs, by the way, she was like, give me your CD and I'll listen to it. And she was one of the first voices of like, your music matters and you really should keep going. And those words coming from her really put me in a place of, you know, believing in myself, and that mirror really was one of the first things that I think launched me on this path. So thank you, Shirley. I know she did that for a lot of people, and I'm really grateful to her. And one last one, because we want to keep it contemporary, it's like I think amplification of people we work with is so important because we're all, you know, doing it right now. So the music supervisor on one of the TV shows that I've scored, Pretty Little Liars, Summer School, Brittany White, is like awesome person, mom, you know, we had a great time working together, and then when we've been able to connect personally, it's just really cool actually to like get to work with another mom with a couple kids, and like, you know, we connect with all sorts of people through our work, but having peers who actually reflect something of our experience is meaningful and creates a shared language that I think also makes our work relatable and helps it to get amplified. So yay, Brittany.
Well, thank you all. I think we have a time for a couple of audience questions. If anyone has any questions, I could maybe bring out the mic. And yeah, does anyone have any questions before I walk out there? Oh, thank you.
Please don't be shy. It's like an amazing wealth of talent here.
Yeah.
No one amplified me today, but thank you. No question.
All right.
Know-it-alls. Well, thank you all for coming today. It was just a dream come true, and thank you to our panelists. I couldn't be more full in my heart for just your presence and everything that you all had to say, and thank you, Ronit.
Thank you, Taura.
And
So
thank
grateful
you
for you.
all.